Hello, welcome back. Chapter 17. This is a kind of a hefty one, meaty. So let's get into it. It is of great significance that the truth of the principles outlined in this book have been proven time and time again by the author. So, 25 years, he's proved them successful. He attributes, it switches around the sense. He attributes his successes to fixed assumption, unwavering assumption of his wish being fulfilled. Okay, just same thing. That's the main idea. Don't lose track of that main idea, which is all the command that you need to worry about. Just assume what you want is true. Okay, so he's talking about himself, not in the third person, but in the second person. He was confident that by these fixed assumptions, his desires were predestined to be filled. I think that's okay. I'm gonna highlight an important word here, or a phrase, and they were his desires were predestined to be fulfilled. So even though he's using the future tense here, to be fulfilled, they're predestined. They're bound to happen. Okay, so that's how you can think, that's how you can reconcile, maybe, this is my opinion, this is how you can reconcile things not happening, or your world not being how your desire pictures it. You can just think of it as they are predestined to be fulfilled, and then but all you have to worry about, is assuming wish already being fulfilled. Okay, so it's okay to think about your desires to be in the future. Just you have to feel that it's about how you feel, how your concept of self is. Yeah, you can it's okay to be realistic and say that your goals haven't gotten here yet, because they haven't, but you need to feel that they have. Okay, continue. Yeah, see, all you gotta do is continue in the assumption until the desire is fully realized. Okay, so he issues a couple commands here. The first one is live your life in a sublime spirit of confidence and determination. That's the first command. Second command, disregard appearances, conditions, all evidence to the senses that deny the fulfillment of your desire. Okay, command number 2. And then also, rest in the assumption that you are what you want to be, for in that determined assumption, you and your infinite being are merged in creative unity. And with your infinite being or God, all things are possible. So he defines God here. I'm gonna stop a little bit. He talks about infinite being. Here, what I also assume to be the greater self, your greater self. So he says that in your determined assumption of being in the assumption of what you want to be, you, or the manifestation of God, or I am, or consciousness, okay, you, the little limited manifestation, so it's you, this is I am, are unified, are one. And you're merged with the vastness of consciousness, of reality. Yeah. Well, no. Of consciousness. Let me just say that. I need to be super careful with this stuff that I don't know. It's frustrating. Anyway. So, and then the next 10 sentences, for who can stay his hand or say to him, what doest thou? And this is a reference to Daniel 4:35, and that's all I talk about that. And this main idea was also introduced in Job. If you guys are familiar with the last few chapters of Job, where God's like reprimanding Job, saying nobody can tell me what to do. So that is as a new idea. And I want to draw attention to, because from what he's saying here, he's saying in the assumption you're merged. That would mean that you're not merged all the time. You're only merged in the assumption of the wish fulfilled. Go back to the thing here. So rest in the assumption that you are what you want to be. In that assumption, you and your infinite being are merged. When you're not assuming, then you're not merged. Okay. But draw your own conclusions from that. I might get enough flack already. Jeez. I'm drinking water. Screw this. I should have done like an ASMR thing. I'll do that next time. For the water. I don't know if I have the right mic for that. All right. Continuing. Maybe if I open up, start spitting everywhere. Okay. Through the mastery of your assumptions, you are in very truth enabled to master life. Not a new concept. Ladder of life is ascended, so higher concept of self. He always uses the idea of ascension, going higher in altitude towards enlightenment. No. Yeah. That's always the goal for him is ascending. Well, sorry, from him, the goal of life is to ascend, to manifest higher concepts, to inhabit higher states, higher. Okay, so the clue to the real, surrender yourself with, surrender to your ideal. You begin to live the life of the ideal and no longer your own life prior to the surrender to the ideal. So I can talk about that here. Real purpose of life. Okay, that's it. Is to trust, and then I'm gonna draw my own conclusions from this here. Surrendering to your ideal. This he makes a direct comparison to. So this is the main idea. This is the main verb. The clue, at least, to the real purpose of life is to surrender to the ideal, to submit to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, rest in God, or resting in the Lord. And you are to do it with such awareness of its reality, and that you can build the awareness of the reality, maybe by not experiencing it quite yet, but kind of using faith. With such awareness of its reality. Hold on, what was I going to say? Oh yeah. So what can help is the fundamental facts. So that Neville establishes. So I am is one, cannot be divided. Consciousness is everything. You, but the law of assumption is as real as a principle of life. And you create your life by assumptions using I am or imagination and consciousness. Okay. Cool. What's it say? No. Okay. So he uses an interesting word here. There's a Bible verse here. Yeah. Not a new concept either. Then he says each assumption has its own corresponding world. So I put in parentheses multiverses, maybe talking about the multiverse. If you are truly observant, you will notice the power of your assumptions to change circumstances which appear unchangeable. You choose which one to live by choosing your conscious assumption. Yeah. He, at least in the book, I don't think that he talks about each assumption having its own world. But if this image is helpful to you, then by all means, go ahead and use it. Okay. So you change the nature of your world by choosing your assumptions. Ignore the present state, assume the wish, yep, claim it. All right, same thing. Well, assumption, okay, every moment of your life. You're assuming you're feeling. Okay, back to, I think yeah, I was just saying the same thing. You're assuming you're feeling. Okay. So this is my conclusion that you are, well, it's in your best interest to have a mindfulness practice so you know what you think about yourself, what you think about the world, so that you have more control over your reality and how you see it, how it manifests to you. And okay, you can no more assume a feeling, avoid assuming a feeling. All you can do is control the nature of your assumptions. Yeah. Okay. Control of your assumption is the key to an ever-expanding, happier, more noble life. Yeah, he's saying things over again. Very important to take control of your life, or else you'll be a slave to it. All right, chapter 18. We are about halfway on time. Okay, hold on. Right. Okay, so never mind. We're gonna go over a summary. Okay, so these two ideas for him, God never fails. Well, first, resting in the assumption with such an awareness merges you with God, and since God never fails, you are surrendering with such an awareness, with a degree of awareness. Let's go back. Okay, with such an awareness that you begin to live the ideal life and not your own before surrendering. So surrendering is a part of oh, okay, it's right here. Yeah, the real purpose of life is yeah, surrendering to your ideal. So yeah, resting in the Lord. We've already established that. Okay. Okay, and yeah, so those two things should, if you choose to believe them, then that will strengthen your faith with achieving anything you want. So in the past, I've said that you know you really can't do anything you want, and sorry, you can stone me. I don't think that human beings are capable of warping in and out of whatever insert whatever sci-fi stuff you want. Um, I think that there's rules, and but until and I'll keep believing. That's just a belief that I am comfortable with. And however, I'm open to change. Shoot, that'd be cool to like teleport at will. You kidding me? The only thing is that so even though humans can't like turn into elephants, if I had this idea today after recording the video yesterday, that if you pursue an ideal that you want, I think that the greater force, the I am, the infinite greater, yeah, the greater self, the infinite being, will adjust your life or expectations or reality in such a way that you will get what you want, if not better. Okay, so don't let that stop you. Don't think that don't live under some like preconceived limitation just because I said you could do something. If you want to go to different planets, then you may end up doing so through reality shifting or some other, maybe you'll be in cryostasis and then I don't know. See, but the point is that, so maybe I shouldn't say that you can't do anything you want, because that's not a helpful belief. So I take that all back. Jeez, I'm learning. I'm learning. All right. Okay, so control your assumptions and you'll have a, yeah, okay. All right, chapter 18. Be ye doers. So just that's an important point, and I might like edit the other parts. I don't think it's a helpful belief to know that you can't do anything you want. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Be doers. All right. So first, okay. All right. Be doers of the word. For if anybody is a hearer, not a doer, is like a man looking in a glass from a mirror and going his way, forgetting what kind of man he is, a person. But whosoever looketh unto the perfect law of liberty and continue That man shall be blessed in his deed. Okay, so let's break down James. So I looked at the chapter, and the context in the ESV version is to ask whatever you want of God and not be double-minded. And then the law of liberty, which I don't think is talked about in any other part of the Bible that I'm familiar with. Verse 25 says to persevere. Well, just like here. Continue therein, persevering in the law of liberty. Okay. Later on, after in verse 18, he introduces the word of truth, and my nitpickingness with like exact same terms aside, I don't think that the word the word of truth is just the word, in traditional biblical like meaning, the word is Jesus, or the word is God. In the beginning, the word was God. But he's saying, but the verse here is God brought us forth by the word of truth, and so the two definitions of word are. So I just look at these two for a little bit, not this yet, not here. Okay, look at these two. So Neville says that word, and I'll go back. I'm kind of skipping around, but I wanna define word so we don't leave it hanging in our minds. So here he says right here, the word in this quotation means idea, concept, or desire. And in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, word is like the action by which God reveals himself, or God's thought, God's creative power, spiritual man. A lot of different definitions about what the word means, And so talking about verse 18 again. God brought us forth by the word of truth. Whatever the word is, maybe through just like action, just by God doing stuff. You are to receive with meekness the implanted word later. So I was just going off on a tear with that whole chapter, looking up where I saw word, and I saw implanted word also. That's able to save your soul. So the implanted word in 21 is able to save your souls, and you are to receive the word with meekness, or receive the idea. Like all these definitions kind of work, I think. Receive the idea, whatever concept, whatever, surrender to it. I'm going off of this one. So surrendering to concept, surrendering to desire, surrendering to God, God's creative power. God's creative power is imagination, according to, imagination is God, according to Neville. Where are we at? Okay, almost done. Okay, all right. So the summary, the summaries of these three verses right here, 22 through 25. This whole chapter is about being a doer, not a hearer. So it's like a man who forgets after seeing his face in the mirror. I don't know why I said that. That was a summary. Anyway, hearing. Expecting your desire to be fulfilled by wishful thinking. And that is what he says right here, wishful thinking. So he's using, again, a Bible verse to support an idea that he introduced earlier on. He has this pattern. Why do I do that? He has this pattern a lot in this book, and maybe in others, I'm not sure. But sometimes it goes either way. Sometimes he introduces a Bible verse, and then he introduces a concept that is built on that Bible verse. Right. Okay, so where are we at next? Oh, I define hearing again. Okay, so the deeper meaning behind the words, as in, so the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary define hearing as catching the deeper meaning, but the context is different. Same word in English, in the English Standard Version, but different meaning, because catching a deeper meaning is not what you are to do according to the James passage. Yeah, so if if you hear all this stuff and decide not to take a chance, not to use faith, or not to use faith in order to get what you want, then you're a hearer, not a doer. Maybe for whatever reason you don't have mental strength, or maybe you think you don't deserve to exercise the power that you have as a person. But yeah, don't. Most of us watching this video probably don't have that problem. Okay, where are we at? Okay, it's talking about. Oh, right. Okay, so and then looking, so he's going off of definitions again. So looking at yourself in a glass, seeing yourself in imagination as that person. There wasn't anything in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary about looking in a glass or a mirror or anything. There wasn't anything like that. Okay, and then he says define. So then, sorry. So forgetting yourself in a mirror is seeing yourself as you want to be seen by yourself. And then forgetting what manner of man you are is failing to persist. Yeah. Okay. The perfect law of liberty is the law which makes possible liberation from limitation, the law of assumption. So that's he sets that other definition, that the law of liberty is the law of assumption. It makes sense because you, without first knowing about the law of assumption, and then acting on it, you are slave to your assumptions, to your own assumptions, created, unconsciously or unconsciously by you. So that makes sense for me on the surface. I don't think so. Okay. So he continues to continue in the law, perfect law of liberty. It's persistent assumption until the desire is fulfilled, not a new idea. You're forgetful here when you keep the feeling constantly, or you're not a forgetful healer. When you keep the feeling of the wish fulfilled alive in consciousness. It makes you a doer, and you're blessed by it coming true. Okay. You must be doers of the law of assumption. Without application, the most profound understanding will not produce any desired result. Okay, saying the same thing over and over again. There you go. Thanks for calling me out. I've read this passage before. Or the text. Whenever the law of assumption is concerned, should be made clear at the risk of repetition. Organizing, concentrating this attention upon which the law starts to break. So yeah, I will say that when I first started getting into Neville, I would listen to like a lecture or 2 lectures like every single day, and I don't think that I would have been as strong as I am now. I know I'm like this skeptical person on YouTube, nitpicking at everything that Neville says. But what I am absolutely certain of is that by your assumptions, you can create your own reality, and you can do crazy, crazy things. And so it's foolishness, I think, for somebody to not try, at least, to exercise their own assumptions and to create the world that they want to be in, or to make themselves into the person that they want to be in. The thing that I'm not clear on is the how and the why, which Neville explains here, but they can't be proved. If I come across a belief that is helpful but can't be proved, then I'm going to go with that helpful belief, and that's just being pragmatic. You guys can. I'm welcoming any other opinions on what to believe and how and why, as far as Neville is concerned, or about anything else. My point with that was that it is useful to hear over and over and over and over again, because your faith will be strengthened by Neville talking about all the stories and people telling about, Neville talking about the concepts in maybe greater detail. Yeah, I think it is important that what he's doing right here, saying the same thing over and over again, will help. Okay, so and then we talk about the talents. So the parable of master's condemnation, it's clear and unmistakable. Okay, so if you are at the point where you have maybe heard about this and don't act on it, heard about this as in law of assumption, everything is consciousness, you have the power to change your reality. Once you've discovered within yourself the key to the treasure house, then you should multiply by many times the talent entrusted to him. So that talent is the power to consciously determine your assumption. So if you use the talent, then you'll multiply, you'll ascend, you'll multiply by many times what you are given. To him that has more, more shall be given, etc. Okay, yeah, and those who have little, they'll be taken away. So yeah, I don't want to say this, and I've said this before, but okay, what you must strive after is being. He said this already. In order to do it is necessary to be. End of yearning is to be. Okay, by creating an ideal in your mind, you can identify yourself with it until you become one and the same with the idea. Okay, so yeah, I was just introducing an idea that he's introduced before, which is that your current concepts of self can't be, right? Yeah. Your current concept of self can't be, it's removed by you focusing on something else. So you have the first, well, yeah. I mean, it's an easy idea to understand, I think. Yeah. If you'll remember, that's how you denounce evil as opposed to resisting it. You just focus on what you want. Okay, it all leads back to that same thing. Just assume the feeling you wish fulfilled. If you come across something in a day that you don't like, just assume what you want. Assume you're the person that you want to be. And that concludes chapter 18. All right, see you in the next video.